Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture, joined by Simon Miller to give us a bit of an update on the injury he suffered at the recent Defiant tapings. Simon, cheers for chatting to us, mate. How are you?
I'm never. It's all good with me, man. How am I? I'm not too bad. I'm coming out the other end of obviously all the madness that has gone over the last about a week or so as we're talking. And yeah, it's kind of one of those things where it's certainly difficult to suffer injury. I think everyone always talks about the mental side of things more than the physical side of things. Both are obviously very tough. But we're getting there. It's every day as it comes. At least now. When we did the first video, we weren't 100% sure what it was. Now, if nothing else, it just seems like terrible medical management. And it does, it's 99% sure that it is a broken collarbone. How a doctor can look at an x-ray and miss that, well, that's a whole other part of my life I'll have to sort out at some stage. But yeah, at least we know what it is. That's step one. And step two is figuring out what's next.
So yeah, they think it's a broken collarbone. And then what is next for you? You're going back in on Friday?
That's it. As we're recording this, I have a surgical appointment Friday because this is something we'll obviously talk about more later. But it certainly seems like the break is so bad. I think one of the bones is facing upwards, and it's kind of pressing against the skin. That yes, it's going to have to be surgically repaired, which means you get it pinned and plated up, and that just helps it fuse back together as opposed to some collarbones, which will actually heal themselves. They will actually fuse back together. But however, because I want to go back to physical activity and the gym and wrestling, and because like I say, half of the bone is facing towards the sky and pushing through my skin slightly, yeah, it certainly sounds like surgery would be the best option, but. Anyone in this country knows the NHS. This isn't me, slamming on the NHS, but it's difficult to get surgery on the NHS because every day you wake up to a new story about the NHS. The demands on it are incredible to say the least, and they do a wonderful job. I just want to put that out there. So we'll see. But in my dream world, after doing a lot of reading about it, yes, hopefully surgery appointment Friday, and then surgery over the weekend, and then just start getting back to it.
Jamie Holmes tweeted me asking the most obvious question. I think the question that everyone is asking. Any ideas on how long you might be out for?
No, unfortunately not, because it seems like this injury is very much a piece of string. I'm a type of guy that I like to research and I like to read. So any time something that comes along like this that I'm not entirely aware of, the first thing I'll always do is I'll do my research. Because I think it's really important to know. I think it's important to be educated with things like this rather than just go off somebody else's opinion. That's not me, again, insulting doctors. It just gives me comfort. It gives me satisfaction. It makes me calm down a little bit. So there's certain people that can be out for 3 months. There's certain people that can be out for 6 months. And if you look at professional sportsmen who understandably are getting the best medical care possibly, but they can turn it around in a few weeks to 4 weeks. I think it all depends on how the surgery goes and how your body then reacts to the surgery. We've all talked about John Cena's amazing healing powers before. I've never broken a bone before, which is something else we're going to talk about in a bit, but I've never broken a bone before, so I don't know how quickly or how well it's going to heal. So I would say, going by what I've read, and again, this could be complete nonsense as well, but maybe best case scenario 2 months, worst case scenario 6 months. But right now, when you don't know, like I said, I'm going to take it day by day and just see where we end up in a few weeks. I'm not going to rush back because, despite some people's claims, I would like to do this for the long term. So you've got to be smart with it. And I'm hoping my extra experience in years will stop me from rushing back. So yeah, as much as I would like to do that, I won't. And we'll just have to watch this space. Classic one of those.
Yeah, now you and I both have issues with more recent accusations, let's say, that you're injury prone. As you say there, that's the first time you've broken a bone. What have you got to say about all these people who've been maybe suggesting that?
Well, I do. This is something I wanted to address. And the internet is the internet, and I understand all that. However, well, just to go straight into it, you cannot, and I don't even say this from a matter of opinion, I think it's fact, you can't be injury prone when somebody else hits you, because you can only protect yourself so much. And I'm not saying, I totally get it, I understand what wrestling is, and accidents happen. That's not what I'm talking about here. But for example, 100% of people will bleed if they get hit in the back of the head with a steel chair, right? I mean, that's just being a human. And to be honest, I wouldn't even consider that an injury. But still, that was one of those things, and if anything, it's kind of one of the most common things that can happen in wrestling. Like the next day I was back to it, the cut in my head got glued up. And I don't mean this as morbid as it sounds or as sort of weird as it sounds, but that was almost like a cool story to tell people. Oh, a chair shot went all right. I mean, my back was to somebody else. What can I do, right? What can I do? I'm told that you're going to be hitting the... So, claiming that as anything, I think, is ridiculous. Personally, between you and I and people listening. But now, yes, what I have now is 100% an injury. But it's also, and this is the thing that I really wanted to put out there, it is the first thing in 2 years that will actually stop me from training and wrestling. And also a bone breaking, it's all about the external force. It's about how hard the hit is. So, it's nothing to do with something I did or didn't do. And that is why I took umbrage with the whole injury prone thing. Because, and again, it happens in all sports when that bone is under too much pressure. And that's just a risk when you compete physically. And I was happy to take that risk. But, it was nothing that I did, which is, again, why I wanted to talk about it. A bone is a bone. And it breaks, again, when it gets hit too hard. And also, I want to point out as well, I really don't mind anyone criticizing me either. You can say what you want. I put myself out there, and I'm happy to put myself out there. And, everything you get back from that is just par for the course. And 9 times out of 10, I ignore all that anyway. However, like all things in life, occasionally I think it's important to reply to it, especially with things like this, when I kind of think people have got the wrong end of the stick. And also, and a quick tangent too, because I have worked really hard to get to this point. I mean, it doesn't mean I deserve anything more than anyone else. Working hard doesn't equate to success. But I certainly didn't just stroll up and go, "Hey, I'd be a wrestler now. That sounds fun." And I get I'm shifting gears slightly, but tying into the injury pro thing was all this. Go back to YouTube. You're not meant to be a wrestler. And I'm just gonna talk straight here. I think that's nonsense as well, because I will go back to YouTube because I love it. I love it. It's my it's something that I've been blessed to be quite successful in, and I'm never going to stop doing that. But I'm also going to be focused on being a professional wrestler. And the reason I'm saying all this is because I kind of feel like a lot what has been said is from people who didn't actually watch my last 2 matches at Defiant. They only saw the clip from that. And I would really, if they are listening to this, I'd actually implore them to check those out before commenting. And I'm not saying that I don't need more experience. I 100% need more experience, but I need to get that experience by going out and getting experience. That's how it works. But, just to counteract some of the things, I'm usually I am happy-go-lucky, but I'll get to this in a second as well. I'll finish my big rant in a minute. But I do know what I'm doing. Like I do. I've been trained by some excellent people that have given me the skills and that I need. I still have to put that all together. But this really is just an unfortunate thing that will only make me stronger down the line. Just to finish off this massive rant, the 2 things I wanted to end with is, obviously I'm focusing on a few people here, and I also want to focus on all the people that have sent me lovely messages and words of support. And, it couldn't have been nicer about it, because I've always said this whole point of the journey, as cheesy as it sounds, was meant to be a group thing, and that includes the bad bits as well. But also, just as a more vague way to kind of wrap up this one question, I know we're going to talk about other stuff, is I think a lot of people do this, and I'm going to steal this from Booker T, but it's a great quote, and I thought about it the other day, and I was like, you know what, I think that kind of pertains to all of this. Don't mistake my niceness for weakness. That's the only thing that I'm going to say. Like I said, I'm a very happy-go-lucky, positive guy. Anybody that ever meets me, 99% of the time, I'll have a smile on my face. But, I'm not trying to sound all like macho, because I hate all that stuff. I think that's toxic anyway. But again, I'm not a weak human being, if that makes sense, both physically and emotionally. And I think I would have liked to have shown that a little bit over the last 2 years. So anyway, that's my big rant about that. I'm sure some people will listen to this and go, nah, you don't know what you're talking about. But hey ho, like I say, I put myself out there, and I'm happy for people to come at me. But sometimes I'm also happy to just stand my own ground as well. And I think, as you very kindly agreed with me, I think in this situation, it was the right thing to do, because I'm not injury prone. Even if you come back in 6 months' time and something else went, I mean, we'll have to see what that situation was. But, 30 plus years on this planet without breaking a bone, and all these years in the gym and doing other sports, and the injury I ever had was that I tore a slight muscle once. Yeah, I think I'll leave it there. I'm ranting now. I'll leave it there.
No, but I think that point needed to be made, because I know you very well. You're a lovely man, but this has really frustrated you, the reaction to this, because, like you say, tearing a quad or doing something like that, or tearing any sort of muscle, brings with it accusations that you've not stretched well, or that's a weak part of your body. But like you say, if this is a broken collarbone, which we seem to are convinced that it is now, there's no way you can protect that, really. Like, it's one of those things that you hear all the time. People break their collarbones. People break their collarbones. I know people who've broken their collarbones from sitting down on a chair weird. It's like there's nothing you can do to stop that from happening. And especially in the scenario, I mean, I was there when it happened. In that sort of scenario, yeah, it's nothing to do with you, or especially not to do with you being a wrestler. One of the things I wanted to mention as well is, like, obviously we've known you've been doing this wrestling journey for what, 2 years now.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I remember when you were starting out doing it, and people were saying within, 3 months, 6 months, all right, when are you gonna wrestle? When are we gonna see you in the ring? There would have been no protestations, I don't think, from people if you said, "Oh, I'm gonna get in the ring straight away." But you've paced yourself. You've wanted to be ready. You want to be fully trained in this sort of environment, and that's what's been the reasoning behind why it's taken you this long to get into the ring. You wanted to be, you didn't want to be a guy, like you say, playing at being a pro wrestler. You want to be a pro wrestler. You want to do that alongside all the YouTube stuff. So it's not either or with the YouTube stuff, and it's not replacing it. It's a passion of yours, and it wound you up, and subsequently wound me up to see people, like you say. I mean, this is the internet. What do you expect? But yeah, people to be saying that sort of thing is frustrating when they don't know the full story. But anyway, let's cheer ourselves up.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. I agree. That's all I say. I agree.
Let's cheer ourselves up. We were talking a little bit earlier about comebacks from injury, and you mentioned some names there. I wanted to ask you, like, who is your inspiration for coming back from injury? We're both big wrestling fans, and there's so many incredible stories of people coming back way earlier from injuries or coming back from career-ending injuries. Who's your real inspiration when you're going to be working to come back into the ring?
Well, I think it kind of, like, I've always mentioned this when we talk about inspirations in other ways, but obviously a big inspiration for getting in the gym was Triple H. And around that time was when he was coming back from his quad injury, and he had that incredible return at Madison Square Garden. Was it Madison Square Garden or was it New York? I remember it was New York. I can't remember. I think it was Madison Square Garden, yeah. Obviously, he went on to win the title at WrestleMania 18. But all of those, beautiful day videos with U2, and I remember all the lines from the videos as well. He goes, "You gotta, eat, sleep, live like a hermit. How much do you want this?" I was all like, I was like, however I was at the time, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna come back from something. So that was definitely one of the first things that I thought about when it all went down. It was kind of like, oh, maybe it's. We don't know what's going to happen down the line, but I always like to spin things positively, and I thought, oh, maybe this can be my Triple H moment. Certainly sooner than I would have preferred it to have happened, and obviously, you'd rather it didn't. But yeah, that Triple H comeback has always sat with me, just because it was so well done, and the reaction he got was so powerful, and. Yeah, I mean, everything that happened afterwards with Chris Jericho and obviously the Hulk Hogan and the Rock match, that's neither here nor there. On that one night and the months that preceded it, it was a real special moment. I think a lot of wrestling fans would agree with that. But there's so many other guys as well, like John Cena, obviously, is superhuman. And when he came, again, Madison Square Garden, when he came back from the Royal Rumble in, 2008, I think it was, or maybe... That was, I mean, again, there was something special about that. And while Cena's especially have always been, how are you doing this so fast? It's also, I think, deep down, a human-to-human appreciation and respect for somebody that can go through, and it is hard. Like I say, I've never been injured before, and I've certainly never been injured doing something that I love. And I think it's not even the pain that gets you at first, while that is frustrating. It is the mental process of realizing, okay, I'm not going to be able to do this for a while. On top of the fact that I'm also not going to be able to go to the gym, which is something, the gym is along with wrestling, is my biggest passion. I love the gym more than anything. So I think that's tough. So I think that's why people do come back and they kind of look the same as what they did. It's a real like, wow, if they can do it, well, why can't I? So definitely put Triple H in there. Definitely put John Cena in there. There's probably loads more that aren't even coming to mind. I mean, The Undertaker. How many times does The Undertaker do it? My word, what just a strong and tough human being he is. But I mean, the good thing is it shows that it can be done. I mean, focusing on this country in the UK, I know that Rampage is dealing with a shoulder injury right now. It's why he couldn't fight, at the Defiant, the Ringmaster tournament. And he's damn Rampage, and he'll come back, and he'll be better than ever, and he'll go out and he'll smash it all the time. And seeing guys like that have seen and done it all, and all of it just comes together for your own brain to go, you can do this, Simon, and it's going to be hard, and there's going to be ups and downs, but we will get back to the up, and that is all that matters. You don't come out these things without being strong on the other side, and it will be a life lesson for me no matter what happens.
Oh, 100%. Now, obviously, it's a sad time at the moment with you not being able to, as you say, get back into the wrestling and do what you've been trained to do and do what you love. But that being said, with what we've just discussed there, how much are you looking forward to that comeback pop, whether it be a surprise return or an announced return? I mean, we talked before about the genuine joy you could see just radiating from you when you first debuted for Defiant. Now you get that comeback pop already within, months of debuting. It's fantastic.
Well, I always said that I felt like I needed to catch up for lost time, right? So I got busted open with a chair, and now I'm planning my comeback pop. I mean, hey, man, let's get all this in. Then I'll retire next year. Be like, hey, I did it. I mean, that's really hard for me to comment on because I'm just not the type of guy that would ever expect anything like that. Like before I came out for the Rumble at No Regrets, you want that and you hope you get a good reaction, but you don't know. Well, I don't. That's how I approach my life. I always err on the side of caution, I guess. But, talking in hypotheticals, I think any kind of pop we've all dreamt about, and we've all put wrestling music on in our headphones and pretended that we're walking down the aisle and people are screaming for you. So look, I mean, if it did go that way and I got a great reaction, I think it would be affirming all of its own, and maybe in that sort of 5-minute window, your brain and your body would tell you know what, you've been through a lot here, but wasn't it all worth it? To share it together, that's my thing. I say it again, I know I repeat myself, but I know it sounds cheesy, but that would be my thing. It would be the feeling of, again, another landmark or another stepping stone that we've all come through together. And that being yourself, Adam, and the fans that watch it and send me nice messages. That was always what the plan was, Again, I can't think of a way to sound, doesn't sound like a Hallmark card, but can a fan, along with other fans, make this a reality? And a comeback pop is a part of that. So, it would be wonderful if it happens, and I'll keep my fingers crossed, but we will wait and see.
Finally, Simon, I do want to mention a quick question I got sent by David Bailey, asking the most important question of all. What is your temporary solution for the Y head slap? Obviously, usually that's a two-handed head slap. What are we going to do there instead?
Hey, man, it's always good to keep things fresh, and we'll just do it one-handed for a while. Maybe we'll get some other parts of the body involved. I mean, it is the not really irony, but it's not lost on me. I've hurt my right arm to the point I can't move it and I can't slap my head, which was my whole thing. But look, I've got a left arm. I got one giant ass head. I can find ways and means to slap it. So I'll come up with that. And who knows? Maybe because of that, I've got to think outside the box, and I'll come up with something else. You just never know what you can achieve when you're not even hit rock bottom. That's a bit much. When you're forced to think outside the box. So it's a good question though. I mean, he's thought about this. I haven't done a Y video since, so I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll come up with something. I have actually. What did I do? I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out one way or the other.
So just to remind people, it's Friday, and then hopefully we'll try and record something next week with another update to update on what happened, whether surgery is going to be a thing or what.
I'm hoping that the next time we do this, I will have been surgically repaired, and we can have a quick chat about what that is. I will say, just as we're here, obviously, card is always subject to change, but I am still, if you have seen my name written any next to wrestling promotions over the next 4 weeks, which was the real bummer with all of this, is that, again, I'd gone out of my way to do what I believe was the right thing to do, and that was to get a load of bookings and to try and get better as a wrestler. I am still planning to make all of those appearances. Obviously, I won't be wrestling unless I get some tremendous news on Friday, which I'm not expecting, but you never know. But yes, as a side, if you are sat out there right now going, I wonder if Miller's going to be there, I saw his name advertised for that show. I plan to be at every single one, not just because I want to be there, and not just because I really appreciate the opportunity from the people that have given this to me, but also because, again, just to kind of underline how serious I'm taking this, that is what I believe is the right thing to do. So even if I have my arm taped up and, getting there is difficult because obviously anything post-surgery is hard, I will still make the effort and I will still put the time in because I understand that's what wrestling is, and I am more than happy to be a part of it.
Well, Simon, great to speak to you, mate. Obviously, all of us here at WhatCulture would like to echo what's been said online, and no doubt will be said in the comments section. We all wish you a really speedy recovery and can't wait to see you back in the ring very soon, mate.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. And again, just to hammer it home, I ain't giving this up. There seems to be two takes on this, which is obviously one side, give it up, and the other side, Miller, please don't give up. I'm not. I don't give things up. Again, this wasn't a jaunt. This wasn't a jolly. I want to add it into the many things that I do, and I don't see a problem with wanting to be a success in everything that you throw yourself into. I think that is in my world, that is a positive and a good thing to do, and wrestling applies to all of that. And yes, it's just another bump in the road, but the point is the road isn't a dead end. That's a terrible analogy, but we're gonna keep it up regardless.
There is life in the old dog yet.
Damn right. Not the big dog though. That will upset people. So no, not the big dog. Just a normal dog.
Simon, hope it all goes well on Friday, and we'll speak soon, mate.
Thanks, man.